that's algebra based, it is, you'll see it in every single level. It's not going to be only appears once and doesn't appear again. Okay? So before we start, do you guys know, say like terms? What do I mean by like terms? How can two terms be like terms?
If they have the same coefficient.
If they have the same, not coefficient, variable. Yeah. So they have to have the same variable, so the same letter, okay, with the same exponent. So these are called like terms because they both have the letter A, and the exponent on the letter A is 1. Okay? If I have, let's say, something that looks like this, x squared and 7x squared, right? These are also like terms because they both have the letter x and they both have this square on the letter x. Okay? So this right here is called the coefficient. This is the name for it. The number that comes before the letter is called the coefficient. So when we're adding and subtracting two like terms, you're going to add or subtract the coefficients of the terms that have the same variable, which means the same letter, and exponent. Okay? So you're going to look at your terms, and then you're going to look at the term and say, does it have the same letter? Does it have the same variable? Yes, it does. Does it have the same exponent? Yes, it does. What am I doing here? I'm adding them, right? So I can add the coefficients. So 2a plus 3a gives me 5a. So what we did is we added the coefficient and we kept the variable the same. Okay? So this is the rule for adding and subtracting only. So let's look at the first example right here. So I have 3a minus 2b minus 5a plus b. And they want you to simplify. Okay? So to simplify, you're going to collect like terms. What are my like terms here? 3a and minus 5a, right? So you're going to take the 3a, and then you're going to take away 5a from it. So what do you get? So 3, take away 5. Negative 2a. Okay? And then your other two like terms are negative 2b and b. So negative 2b plus b. What's the coefficient right here before that b? 1. So you have an invisible 1 right here. Okay? So you have negative 2b plus 1b, that's negative 1b. Okay? Technically, the equal sign should be at the beginning right here. Shouldn't be at the end. Okay? So you should put equal sign negative 2a minus b. Okay? So you're going to find your like terms, and then you're going to add or subtract the number that comes before. Let's look at the second one. So we're going to start with 2x squared. Do you have a like term for 2x squared?
4x squared.
Minus 4x squared. So 2 minus 4 gives me negative 2x squared. Okay? Then we have the 3x. So I have 3x plus 5x. So that's going to be plus 8x. And then I have the negative 6 plus 7. So that's going to be plus 1. Okay? So we take the term with the sign that comes before it. Are you guys okay with this? You're going to see a lot of this. You're going to have to be able to recognize the like terms and be able to add. also going to see the distributive property. So I don't know if I went through that example, specific example with you guys, but did I do the taco example with you? The combo? Okay. So I'm gonna talk about this first and I'll give you the example. Actually, no, let me give you the example first. So you went to Taco Bell and then they have their special, which is 2 tacos and a can of pop. Okay? So the combo is 2 tacos and a can of pop. Okay? You're a family of 3 and you want 3 combos. How many tacos are you gonna get? 6 tacos and how many cans? 3. And that's because you want 3 of this combo, right? Yes? Okay. So to get this answer, technically, you multiply that 3 by the 2 tacos, and you multiplied that 3 by the 1 can. Yes? Without you knowing, you did the distributive property. Okay? This is exactly what the distributive property is. You have your combo in the bracket, okay? And then you want to multiply that combo by a certain number, okay? So each term inside the bracket is going to be multiplied by that number in front. Make sense? Okay, so let's write that down. So multiply each term of the bracket by the coefficient, or by the preceding term if you want. Actually, let me use better words. Multiply each term of the binomial. Do you guys know what binomial and monomial mean? Okay.
Maybe it's binomial.
What? Yeah, that's right. Bi means 2, right? Bicycle, that means 2 wheels, right? Bi means 2. So a binomial means 2 terms, and a monomial means 1 term. So you see that I have a binomial here, right? So this is your binomial, B plus C, right? And this is your monomial, which is just a letter by itself, or a number by itself, okay? So to do the distributive property, you're going to have to multiply each term in the binomial by the monomial term, okay? So that's going to be A times B and A times C, okay? So that's going to be AB plus AC. So let's see what happens when I multiply negative 2a by 3a minus 2b. So because I have the negative 2a that's outside the bracket, I'm going to have to multiply that by the 3a. So what happens when I have negative 2a times 3a?
It's -6a.
Minus 6a
Squared.
squared.
Yeah.
Remember that a times a is a squared.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're going to multiply the numbers together. So that's going to be negative 6.
A squared.
A times a is a squared. Okay? Are we okay with that?
Yes.
Okay? Then I'm going to have to multiply the negative 2a by the negative 2b. What do I get?
Positive.
Positive
4.
AB. Okay? Negative 2 times negative 2 gives me positive 4. A times b is a times b. Then we have the next example, which is 2x minus bracket x minus 8y, close bracket, minus 3y. What do I do here? When I have brackets, I can't collect like terms. Okay? Brackets means jail for these terms. You can't do anything to them unless you remove that bracket. Okay? If I want to remove that bracket, what do I have to do?
Multiply the negative side with x and minus x minus.
That's right. So you see that negative here? It's actually a -1 that is multiplied by that bracket. So I have to distribute that -1 in. Okay? So 2x, nothing happened to it. It stays as 2x. Then you have -1 times x, which is -x. And then -1 times -8y, positive 8y, minus 3y. Okay? Now it's free. Now all the letters are free. All the terms are free. You can collect them. Okay? So my like terms are the 2x minus the x. So that gives me x. And then you have 8y minus 3y.
Positive 5y.
Now, does it matter if I write as x or 1x? It doesn't, right? It's the same thing. Something that I've heard, at least, from some college students, is that if you write a 1x in college, in some of the math classes, they deduct marks because they don't want to see that one. I don't know. I wouldn't be the one to deduct marks for this because technically it's not wrong to write the 1. Okay? But just so you know. Are you guys okay with this? Yeah.
So when you're multiplying,
Mhm.
that's when it becomes squared.
Which one?
Like 8.
This one?
So like you did -2a times 3a.
Yeah.
So that's why it became squared.
That's right, because you have a times a. So technically a times a, right? I don't write it as a times a, I write it as a squared.
But with adding, like
With adding, doesn't change. Yes. With adding, think about it this way. If you're adding apples, right? If you have 5 apples and 10 apples, that's 15 apples, right? But whenever you're multiplying, right, it becomes a square. Anytime you multiply something by something, you add the exponent. Okay? So let's say if I'm multiplying 2a squared by 3a, for example. Okay? So what happens here is I multiply the numbers, so that's 6. And then because it's the same letter, it's the same base, so I leave it as a. And then what happens is the exponent, because I have a squared times a, that becomes a cube.
the exponents add.
The exponents add if you have the same letter.
Okay.
Okay? When you're multiplying, though. Okay? There is a whole chapter that we're going to do about exponent law. Okay? What do we do when we have something like this? Now, we're going to look at what happens if I have 2 binomials multiplied together. Okay? So the process is called FOIL. FOIL, and this is an acronym that we use to simplify the following. Okay? So F stands for first. I'm going to multiply the first terms in each bracket together. Okay? So if I'm looking at these 2 binomials, which terms are my first terms in each bracket?
A, C.
A and C, right? So if I look at my first term, this is my first term and this is my first term. You guys agree with that? Yeah? So I multiply the A times the C, right? This is my first. So that's A, C. O stands for outer, okay? O stands for outer. So if you look at these 2 brackets, which terms are your outer terms? So from the outside. A and D. So I multiply A times D to give me AD. Now we're looking for the inner because I stands for inner. Oops. So what are your two inner terms? B and C. So you're going to multiply B times C, and that gives you BC. And then L stands for the last terms. Where are my last terms here? B and D. Okay? So basically, if you look at this, the first term is multiplied by both terms inside the second bracket, and the second term is multiplied by the two terms inside the other bracket. So I'm using the distributive property twice. Okay? So think about what we did earlier, right? What we did here. I'm using my distributive property with the first term, and then I'm using my distributive property with the second term. Okay? At the end, you're going to have to think about, do I have like terms? Sometimes you do have like terms to add them together. In this case, I don't, because all my terms are different, right? I don't have any other AC, I don't have any other AD, I don't have any other BC, nor BD, right? I don't have any like terms in this case, but most of the time you will have like terms where you have to collect them. Okay? So let's look at this one. So what was 5 first?
2A with minus 3B.
Yeah, so 2A times negative 3A, and that gives me
Minus 6A squared.
minus 6A squared. You guys agree with that?
Oh, because the positive
And a negative?
and the negative makes that a negative?
That's right. And then 2
Okay.
times 3 is 6, and A times A is A squared. Okay? What will be the second thing that I have to multiply?
2A with 2B.
With negative 2B, right?
Yeah.
So 2A times negative 2B, that's going to give me
Minus
Negative.
4AB.
4AB. Okay? Because positive and a negative gives me a negative. And then 2 times 2 is 4. A times B is 8. Now my inner is
A, 4B.
4B times
3A.
negative 3A.
Negative 12.
Negative 12.
AB.
AB or BA, doesn't matter which way I write them. AB or BA. Doesn't matter if you do 6 times 2 or 2 times 6. No, right? A times B, B times A, doesn't matter. Okay? And then I'm going to multiply my last terms. So that's 4B times negative 2B, which is going to give me
B squared.
negative
8B
8B squared. Perfect. So after you do this, do you see any like terms?
Yes.
What are my like terms?
6 minus negative 6A squared negative. Wait. Minus 4AB minus 12AB.
That's right. These two are not like terms because they don't have the same letter, right? But this and this, they are like terms because they have the same letter, which is AB, AB. Again, if you wrote it as BA, they're still like terms, okay? So that's going to give me negative 6A squared minus 16AB minus 8B squared. Are we okay with this? We're going to do a lot of this in the first unit. I'll be right back to this page. Okay, I'm going to give you some time to do